What's up, y'all? It's Jam and Sam, and today we're going to analyze the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack. This is something I've been wanting to do for some time, but I didn't really know how to do it. I thought about making a video, and then I would have to do editing, and I kind of dreaded that, but I decided, hey, I can just make it a stream and then make it pretty chill. So that's what we'll do. And I know what you're thinking is like, everybody wants to see Aquatic Ambience, but we're gonna go through the game in chronological order, and I promise we'll have timestamps in the description so you can skip around to whatever you want to see. Now, we're not going to go through all the themes in the game, only really the major ones. But if you have any requests, if anyone in the stream has a request, they can. I won't say no to like analyzing a specific song that is not being covered here. Salute. Hey, welcome, King Nick. Welcome. Good to see you. Welcome, Minya Kang. Welcome to the stream. All right, so I'm going to start with the main theme. And this is, for those of you that a lot of you probably know that this is a theme that is inherited from the original Donkey Kong. And it starts out with an intro that's very much reminiscent of that. And so we'll start with that. This is basically, you have, let's see, where's my piano? I have a piano to play here so that I can play it. And so it's basically, let's see. And then you go to, no. Something like that. And this is basically a what we call, what it is from the ragtime days, it's what we call a round progressions, or circle progression. Yeah, a round progression, circle progression. And what this means is that we start on, here, let me pull up my piano. We start on F, we start on the one key, the one chord. Then we go, so it's F major, D minor, G minor, C major. So it's a lot of times they would do that in like doo-wop. They would do. So that's kind of what is going on here. It had a very like doo-wop feel. And so basically we start with that. And then what he does here, I have the chord. We have a bass. It comes in with a bass. But instead of playing the F, which is where we're in the key of F here, time flies. Yes, time does fly. Can't believe it's been 5+ years now since you started restoring DKC. Yes, wow, how the time does fly. Hello, music creator capable. Welcome. Okay, so now logically, since we are in the key of F, one might want to include this bass, this intro bass, in the key, as an F key. Ah, we got $10 from Inverse of Zero. Thank you. Nice to see you live, Sam. Always thank you so much. As always, thank you so much for all your work. It means so much to me, plus the YouTube video game music community. Hope you're well. Looking forward to Mo Yoshi's Island OST. Yes, thank you. I am well. How are you doing? Glad to see you back in. All right, so logically, the thing to do here is, since we're in the key, since we started out the key of F, one might think we should do the bass in the key of F, but that's not what we're doing here, because most of the themes in the game are written in minor. The D is the relative minor, or is it parallel minor of whichever? I'll look it up later, but it's the relative minor of F. And so, which basically means it has all the same keys as F major, but it's has a more minor feel. And this is something that we're saying, we're like, this is not, basically the composer here is saying, or the wise man, Mr. Wise, is saying that this is not going to be like a happy, upbeat soundtrack. We're going to be spending most of our time in minor here. And in fact, the pretty much all the game, I think every song in the game is in minor. I think only Cranky's theme is really the only song that's in major, and then the beginning of the final boss starts out with a little major thing, but for the rest of it is all in minor. So this is not really a major key game. So he's starting with a bass in D to establish this as it being in the key of D minor once it switches over from Cranky Kong's little music box to Donkey Kong's theme. And let's see, I bet you this popcorn synth is in D too, yeah. Okay, so, and then we start with the electric guitar here, and then you have the bass. So this is not the same chord progression that we started out with. The bass isn't, although there's not really any chords, the bass bass harmony here is implying a certain chord progression, and it's not the one we started out with. Because, let's see. Was that song you played, The Overworld of SMB3? No, I'm not familiar with that one, but this first song we started out with was Donkey Kong, the NES theme. Dude, I literally started high school while Nice. 5 years, that's nuts. Yes. Hi, Destroy Fascism. Welcome. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Glad you enjoy it. My favorite OST. Thanks for doing what you do. You're welcome. Thank you for your presence, Toner Low. Hey, welcome, but super duper monkey ball banana blast crazy roll. That never gets old saying that. All right, so wow, we have 28 people here. That's awesome. So the chord progression here, he's doing a reharmonization of the original Donkey Kong theme. Instead of having, I need my piano here. I don't want to be playing that bass. We're reharmonizing, and we're starting with D minor to A sharp major, or G, I can't really tell, because we have, I think it's just A sharp. So we go from D to A sharp to G to C. So instead, that's a more minor chord progression because we have it's actually an equal amount of, so we have D minor, B flat major, G minor, C major. So we're still ending in like C major for the last chord, but it's an equal number of minor to major chords, whereas the original had F major, D minor, and then G minor, C major. So I guess it's about the same amount, and it's almost the same chord progression. We're just starting off in D. We're establishing it in D minor rather than F major. So we're going D major, then we're going down a fifth, or down a third, down a third again to G, and then C major. A nice little community. Yes, it is a very nice community. Thank you. We got 32 people. Oh, I see 29. So it might be changing all the time, but oh, now I just changed to 33. Nice. So that is pretty much that's how what he's doing here. And then we have this other section in the next part where he does his own little thing. He does which you can hear here with the little theremin flute thing. This looks wild because of all the pitch bends, but basically we're basically playing on a D minor chord. And then we go to G. So we're basically implying D minor, G minor, and then A minor. So, and then we have chords here that are answering that with, so this is in actually A sharp major, and to G minor, and then C major. So actually, it starts out in F. Oh, I missed a chord here. It starts out in F. So it's like, or that's probably still D. So it's probably that same chord progression, pretty much. And we're implying. So that's pretty much what's going on with this song. And with that, I think that pretty much covers it. But these themes get reused throughout the game, so we'll be coming back and referring to that. Let's see. There's probably mostly, yes. I'm glad we could have this little community. Yes. And help avoid copyright infringement. There you go. These are technically under have mechanical license because they're covers. They don't really use any of the game audio, or very little. So the next major theme I want to go to would be Jungle Groove, or DK Island Swing as it's sometimes called. So let's see. And with Jungle Groove, mainly the part that has the most analytic value of being analyzed is that swing thing, that swing part in the middle. But we'll briefly go through the rest as well. And we start out with this theme with like some drums like basically coming in, like fading in, and then you have the sounds of nature to really put you in the into the soundtrack. So that really serves to like set the thing. There's supposed to be crickets here. Oh yeah, I disabled them. Yeah. So these nature sounds really put you in the environment, and then you hear the drums come in. You start with the very chill sounds of nature. You have a bongo. You're basically just introducing percussion as we go. And then we have the bass in A. We're establishing the key as A minor. And then you have these chords. These chords are basically, it's basically an A sus4 chord. Oh, it's not playing because I have some technical stuff that, like, I have this envelope controller. And it's still not playing because I have to reset the volume. Oh, wow. What is that? Why doesn't that not play? Whatever. Well, it's an A sus4 chord going to G sus. And then it resolves to G major. Let me get my piano for this. So this is a common way to sort of have an internal resolution is, so we have A sus4, and then we go down to G sus4, and then we resolve that by moving this C down to B, and it makes a major chord. Which is basically the G in A minor is the 7 chord, so we're resolving from the 7 back to A sus. And so that's kind of how that goes, is it does that, and then you have some more bass notes here, which are doing, let's see, doing some kind of funky stuff. This is setting the stage for the next section. So we're getting more notes in here, and getting a little more rhythm going, a little more pacing. And then we have this full bass groove here. Where's that bass groove? So this bass groove is like, dun, 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 dun. That's kind of setting the groove, and then we have the drums come in. And then you have this piano doing, oh, that's not what I wanted, but so you have just basically a little groove. And now the interesting thing here in the jazz part, this is basically riffing off of what's it called, Thelonious Monk's straight note chaser. You have it kind of, it like in Thelonious Monk's version, it kind of just stays on this. And it never really leaves there, but here, we are basically, I'll show you what the kind of what the bass is. This is, well, no, this is implying we have, so we're basically, this is a diminished chord, but then it sort of resolves to A minor. So we're basically outlining an A minor chord with an accidental of D sharp. It's slipping to that D sharp just briefly before outlining that A minor chord. And in the bass, we're doing this sort of, we're also outlining the A minor chord. When we do, let's see. So we're bouncing between A and E with this. No, wait. And then the chord progression that we're implying here is like, let me pull out the piano. So we're basically having, it's a common chord progression, and you could hear this also was probably inspired by the Jungle Book's I Want to Be Like You. So it does this. Now this is interesting because this is a common swing progression. And what it does is it's A minor, a bunch of A minor. So we're basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So it's 3 bars of A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the 4th bar, it switches to E major. Actually, E dominant, if you want to get technical. So that switch to E dominant is the 5 chord. And then we do this for 1, 2, 3, 4. But that would only be 7, so there's probably another one in there. So it's like 1, A, 2, 3, 4. No, wait, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, oh yeah, so on the 8th one, we roll back on the loop to A minor. But basically, it's a lopsided chord progression because normally you would just go 4 bars of A and then 4 bars of E. But instead, we lopside it. We go 3 bars of A and then 4 bars of 5 bars of E, and then we go back to A. So it's kind of lopsided, but it gives it a certain groove. Hello, Pinky the Raving Pie. Welcome. Will you be doing this for the other games? Not unless someone really requests it. I don't know the other games that well, but we can look into it on another stream. We'll see how this one goes. I might do it for another game if someone requests it. Very good vibe. Thank you. Oh wait, not A minor. What Kendrick Lamar? No, not A minor. Like what? Ah, nice. Hell yeah. Welcome, Ree. Welcome. All right. So basically, the bass is also outlining this chord progression. We have, let's see if we go to our bass. So we're outlining here. We're going from A, and then we switch from, so this is outlining this E major chord here, and then we bounce around in this E major chord. And then we go dun 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 dun, dun, and then we go back to A minor. So it's all outlining that kind of chord. And in the whereas Straight Note Chaser would have done, just keeps on doing. I need the jazz guitar. It just keeps on running with that. This one actually changes with the chord progression. So instead of staying in this implied A minor chord, we hit that D, and D is the 7th of E dominant. So we're establishing this E dominant, acknowledging this E dominant in the melody. And then we shift the line down to because this line is G sharp to B to D. So we're outlining this G diminished chord or E major without the bass. So it's like, and then we briefly even go to E down here. So we're basically outlining an E major chord with the chord to go along with the chord progression. And then we go back, we resolve back to A minor, still keeping this D sharp as an accidental, but basically resolving back to A minor. And then we kind of just repeat the process. We have some more stuff going on here. This trombone that blares out into the is basically also outlining E major. We have E, basically also outlining E minor. We have E. So we're basically just, this is all like A minor chord, A minor notes. It's basically an arpeggio. And then we have this thing going on in the, where the clarinet. This is like us going from A minor. We're basically, this is the E major section. So we're outlining that G sharp diminished, that E dominant. And then we do further outlining this E major chord. And then we go, we're basically like just climbing back up to that A. And then we go, for this last trill, we go back up an octave to the next A. And that's how we kind of finish that off. And then we do this like string line. This string line is basically just E dominant to, like E major to A. We're resolving from 5 to 1, which is the most popular resolution is 5. 5 to 1, that's the most popular resolution you'll ever hear. This song pretty much hangs out from 5 to 1. It just bounces between 5 and 1, which is common in swing and jazz. Or actually more, not really common in jazz, more common in just swing. So it's kind of a driving home that resolution. Let's see. Hi, Retro Gamer, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Let's see. And I can analyze Fear Factory when we live. Can you analyze Fear Factory when we get that far into the track? Yeah, we can go for Fear Factory. Fear Factory is mostly production based, so that'll be pretty quick. But we'll check that one out. Yeah. Would Life in the Mines and Aquatic Ambience need new analysis? Need a new analysis? Yeah, Life in the Mines is different enough from Aquatic. Is like a pretty different. Pretty much a completely different sound to Aquatic Ambience, so I would say that one does. Misty Menace doesn't. I can go through that one. Misty Menace would be pretty quick because there's only a few chords in there, I think. But we can go through. We can touch on that one real quick. So we'll touch on Fear Factory and Misty Menace as we go. Okay, and the second part of this is not really. There's like a lot of drums here. I don't really have any, even though these are notes, the drum isn't tuned. There's a bass note in here, but it kind of gives the illusion of a tune, but it's kind of non-objective. We have some drums here, and then we have this flute, just playing pretty much a D, and then shifting down to here. And then we come into like some objective stuff down here. We have basically a bass that is doing a power chord. What is this? A G fifth. So it's a fifth on G. And then we kind of play with that top note here where it goes up to E and then C before resolving back to the chord here. So we're pretty much shifting to G here. We're to the key of G. And then basically this is outlining C. So it's basically like going from 5 to 1 again. So no, this is 4 to 1. Actually, yeah, this is 4 to 1. So it's kind of like a resolution in and of itself. And then we have the flute here is kind of doing. So we're basically in G minor. So we're basically just playing around with a G minor kind of thing. And then we kind of go down to this F, which is interesting because it kind of changes the chord sound. So that's an interesting choice because it definitely changes the character of the chord, but we do not acknowledge that change in the harmony here. We just keep it. But the reason why that works, even though it's not in the chord, because basically with the G there, that would be like that actually doesn't work because of the flute, but it's there is something to that. It's like, so it's basically like a G dominant chord, because if you put the F up an octave, which this is like basically up an octave of, because the chords are down here, right, and the flute is up here, so it's basically a G dominant chord. You're basically making that a dominant, so it's not really outside the chord. It's a seventh basically. Let's see. Hello, if you don't mind, what program? Yeah, we're using FL Studio, Fruity Loop Studio. That's what I use for everything. So that's pretty much how that goes. And then we have some marimba coming in. And this is just kind of hanging out on G a lot, like a really lot. There's like so many G. It's basically making it a rhythmic kind of thing. It's very rapid rhythm. And we're just kind of doing a pentatonic thing. Pentatonic being like, it doesn't have as much emotion, because a pentatonic, instead of going from... we kind of omit those more emotional tones and then just go... and it's very more detached and less emotional. So, which is basically kind of what a lot of marimba stuff is expected to do. So we're basically doing a pentatonic. We're just doing... it's kind of playing around with these notes. And then we sort of change chords here. We do... this time we do... basically outlining a G minor chord. And this coincides with with not really a change in the rhythm, but it does, I think, coincide with a chord change. Yeah, so we do have a chord change there, but we'll get to that. So basically, in the bell thing here, which is kind of calling back to Toto's Africa, it's they had this very much a... they had some bells like this in the in Africa. So we're basically doing thirds here. We're playing like these are all thirds chords, except for this one. This one's a fourth. So we're basically just playing around with this kind of... it's almost like we're establishing, like outlining a B flat major, or that G7 chord. Pretty much like that. And then when we're still doing the same thing in the bass until we change chords and go to, let's see. We change chords, we go down to D sharp or E flat with the in the bass. Oops. We go down deeper into the bass, so this really like makes some deep stuff happen. So we're establishing E flat major in the bass, and then we go to C minor, and then we resolve to back to G, where we started out, because C is the fifth of G, and so you have a very strong 5-to-1 resolution. But we've definitely shifted, actually we've shifted into C minor here, sort of. So it's basically like C minor instead of A minor. And how that kind of plugs in with the, let's see, with the marimba and such. Because we're now going to, let's see. So the marimba is complementing that it's still staying in G, but this is like, it's still staying basically in its same notes, but this is basically the third, and it's outlining the third and fifth of, whoops, of E flat minor, E flat major. Actually, it's basically outlining E flat 7, so that's kind of what we're doing, like sevenths here too. And then it resolves with the chords back to G, like it originally did. So it's basically bouncing between 5 and 1. So he's playing with a lot of resolutions here, basically. And then it doesn't loop the intro. It just basically skips the intro because the intro really only served to put you into the scene. Now we're basically skipping all that and just running back to here. So we're with the drums kind of abruptly coming back in. All right. Basically, yes. I think maybe you wouldn't think this, but I am very thankful for this. I do think this. I'm glad you're thankful for this. Welcome, Dark Pit. Nice. Glad to see you here. All right. You're welcome. I'm working, so I apologize for not writing much. This live is very interesting and amazing. Thank you, Torvo Shaza. Welcome. You're welcome to turn this on as background while you work. Soothing sounds of Jam and Sam while you work. All right, so let's move on to what's the next major theme. I would say is like Cranky's theme, and I only cover, and the main reason why I cover this is because of the way it reuses the main theme, and it sort of uses it in a different context. So I want to kind of take a look at that. Once it loads, and this one is like the one theme in the game that is actually, I would say, is in major. And so we start out with this bass. Actually, this bass is poorly rooted. So we're basically reharmonizing again, and we're going. Wait. Wow, this is way down here. We're outlining an F major chord here. So we're definitely in F major. And then we go to, so we're basically going 4. This is B flat major we're outlining. So we're basically going from 1 to 4, which is very common in folk music to go from 1 to 4 to 1 really kind of quickly. So we go F major, B flat major, and then we go And then we're basically kind of outlining a 5 chord here, which is kind of what actually a lot of blues music does that too. It's the 12 bar blues. So we're basically going 1, 4, 1, 5, 4, 1. So we're basically walking down to back to 1. So we're kind of playing around with 4s and 5s. 1, 4, and 5 are the 2 most common chords in music. If you want to hear like a good resolution, it's basically you can just stick to those 3 chords and you'll basically have a good sound. So and then we'll come to this part later, but basically in the main instruments, we're playing that same melody. Actually, here's we have some dedicated chords here. This one is definitely, this sounds kind of like, it's played kind of like steel drums, but it could be a marimba too. And it feels like kind of a tropical thing, so I think he was implying like steel drums here. I'll just play it. But wait, this is basically definitely a F major chord, but this is not. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's this is basically a B flat major. So we are definitely going from 1 to 4 to 1 here, and this is definitely 5. And then we establish this again: 1, 4, 1. Oh wait, this one's different. Yeah, we're doing something different here, but we'll come back to that. So we're basically like reharmonizing this. The melody stays exactly the same. We have, oh, it's not even playing. Why is it not playing? I bet you that thing, yeah, that crashed again. Let's just put this, place this with a new wave station. We're gonna do some, oh, that part's good too. I think I have the pan flute saved here. So this is basically, it's the same melody. And so it's amazing how that melody really works out with like lots of different chord progressions, because instead of going, wow, that's a honky tonk piano. At least instead of going from F to D to G to C, we're almost there. We're going, I know that vibrato sounds goofy. We're basically doing, instead of that, we're keeping the first chord the same, and then we're going to B flat major instead of D. And so that's almost the same chord because it has 2 of the notes the same. It still keeps the D and the F common. So it's almost the same. You're only changing 1 note here. So instead of going, we're just basically, it's almost the same chord. So, and then we're going back, instead of going to G major, this is the biggest change. Instead of going back to G minor, we're going back to F. And so that one has no notes in common, so that one's a bit of a bold move. But then we go to C, which is the exact same chord, the exact same last chord as the original song. So you don't have to do a lot of reharmonization. He's just doing a really clever reharmonization of this song. Wow, why do I have, what is this here? What is this? Oh, that would happen whenever I relocated the libraries. But I'll fix that later. But basically, you have this reharmonization, and then in this next section, we go to like a different thing, which I'll cover in a second. Noah, what an absolute king. Thank you, Noah. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome, Noah. Thanks for coming. Now, we sort of go into a different part in here. And this I'll analyze momentarily. So we're doing in the bass. So basically those same first 2 chords, F, B, A sharp major, and then we go to G. So we're basically reprising that round, that circle chord progression. And the reason why, I didn't cover this before, but the reason why they call it a circle chord progression is because it follows what's called the circle of fifths in the musician world. That's the, I'm gonna get a piano for this because I don't like this goofy, it was funny at first, but now it's not. So basically, the reason why they call it a circle chord progression is because it follows the circle of fifths, which basically is just a fancy name for saying you go down. You go down in fifths, and it always sounds good whenever you do that. It's very satisfying when you do that, right? It's like, so you can go down in fifths and always be okay. That's another thing that you can do. It takes a little more work, but it's like, it's basically fourths, but fourths and fifths. Basically, you can go up in fifths or down in fourths. So what this thing is doing is it's starting on the one chord, and it's introducing stability by going down a third to D minor, and then it starts with the circle chord progression, where it goes up a fourth to G, and then down a fifth to C, and then it leads back in the same thing down, same thing back up to the F major chord. So basically, all of like 3 of these chords, if you go from D minor up to G major, up to C major, and then up to F, those are all the same distance from each other. So that's why that chord progression works. You go down a third at first and to introduce some stability, and then you just keep cycling up. So that's why they call it a circle chord progression, and that's basically what we're doing. We're reprising that from the original DK theme in the second section. And this melody was not present in the original Donkey Kong. He's basically doing his own riff here. And it's almost the same as the melody he did before, because it's kind of hanging out on a D minor chord, because the melody that he did in the original DK theme was and we're using the same notes here. We're kind of using that, but we're just putting them in a different order, so we're going descending instead of, and then we go, so we're kind of riffing off our own thing here, but we're following the same chord progression. And then we're basically including that same resolution back to F. So he's kind of riffing off his own thing here. So that's basically that theme. And let's go on to now, let's see. What next I would say Aquatic Ambience is next. This is the one that we've all been waiting for. So let's jump into that one. This will be some fun. Now this song, I'll wait for it to load. Good to see you back on Donkey Kong Country. I got myself a full complete library of video game music CDs recently with your master tracks of DKC and recently TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Nice. Welcome, Captain Nabil. Glad you enjoy it. Yeah, that's a nice collection. Oh, perfect timing. Haha. Thank you, Ill Win. Welcome. All right. So this theme, the one of the most revered themes in video game history, starts out. So we have some strings here. Is the main attractor of this, main driver of this part of the piece. We have. So basically what is going on here, if we remove this one, we have like these strings are really high. So it's like, oh, it's I have to remove the controller here. So we have, wait, no, now I have to reset the volume. All these technical issues. Okay, so we're basically, this is a D sharp major 7 chord without a 5th. Probably because of system limitations. You can't really, so he decided to use the 7th instead of including the 5th here to give it some extra dimension. And one thing, and maybe a normal composer might have said, hey, we'll use another channel here for this. Whoops. We'll use another channel here for this 5th here, but instead of doing that, he takes the liberty of including this rising tone. This, like, it's just basically a voice, a vox thing, played up really high. So it's like this rising shrill tone. And combined with this high strings, it's like right when you start the stage, you're smacked in the face with this huge, beautiful chord, which is kind of funny to think about. It's like really mysterious and almost frightening because of how high up it is. And so basically, you have that going on with this rising tone. You can barely hear the rising tone there, but it's enough to really like create a lot of tension. And then in the bass, we've got like way down deep in the bass, we've got a voice thing. This would be it at mid range, but instead we go down here. This deep bass, almost choir tone. And so this is playing a C, which means that we're establishing the chord as not an E flat minor 7, but actually a let's go up here. A C minor 9. So we have the first, the root, the third, the 5th, and then the 9th here. We're skipping the 7th, so it's actually the 7th that's being omitted. So if you had included the 7th, it would sound like this. Not really a big difference, so you can kind of remove the 7th. And so that's basically a 9 chord is like that's how it creates these like really emotional atmospheres, because usually people stick to like 3 notes, which is a standard chord. Some people go, if you keep adding harmonies at different intervals on top of that, you get more and more emotion until it gets to be all too much. You could go as far as but then it just gets to be it just gets to be like overwhelming. And that's kind of what he wants. You want a bit of overwhelm here. So it's basically establishing that, but to save channels here, you only have the bass is way down here, and then you have the chords way up here. So you only have the really low lows, and then the high highs on this chord. So you're basically splitting the chord up between like high highs and low lows, and it's to give it this huge expression. And then in the middle here, this one's probably the star of the piece, is the real, like, the voice and the vox staccato notes here. And this is going in the mid-range, so you can clearly hear those without it being obstructed by other chords. And let's see. Never mind about that, Mario. This game in the 90s. I love this music in DK2. Now I play this music to my little girl to sleep to. Awesome breakdown, by the way. Thank you, V Series. Oh, V Santos. Oh, that's adorable. That's I love that. Like singing your kid, like basically lullabying your kid to sleep with this music is amazing. Like now they can say they grew up with that, like listening to that to go to sleep. But basically, this I like this. I love this line because it's interesting how it almost sounds like water sloshing in a way. Like it just sounds like water moving in and out, and so in a sort of abstract way. And so how does he create this tune? This time we have to venture into a little bit of production. It's not just composition here that's going on here. It's actual like production tricks. So at the core of it, we have if we mute out this voice, this echo here, we have lots of echoes going on here. We have basically this vox, this voice box. And you have, if you remove that delay here, you basically just have these raw notes. It's these really short notes. And you have, but then he adds this delay. These really short, sharp, detached delays. They're almost inaudible. But if you really listen, you can hear it almost sounds like there's tremolo. It kind of sounds like it's shuffling a little bit. Here, I'll turn it up so you can hear. So that's basically what he's doing, is like he's inserting this like shuffling around. It's like a little tremolo effect in the delay. So that's really cool. And then the way he creates this like sort of water sloshing effect is this voice here. So these are a lot longer notes than this. So you're basically, and these are echoes with the longer notes. So basically this is like not even like a little bit out of sync with the other note, because it's basically a little bit later than the next note. So you have this note coming in just slightly later. And so what that does is the fact that this is a long note, it kind of spills into the other echoes and it makes this very blurred sloshing sound that sounds like water. So you get So it really like just slurs it all together and makes it sound like this like water sloshing sound, which I found really cool. Now the actual composition of this line, you have like, is basically outlining that E flat major 7 chord, which is actually a C minor 9 if you include the bass. So it's basically outlining this because you have, but it's including the D sharp on the top instead of at the bottom. So you have this, and it's just going around and around. So it's sort of like this water movement, this like very fluid movement. And then you have, you're basically having like, you're taking two, like all of these are like pairs of notes, right? So you have this C and this B flat going down from C to B flat, and then you start down here and go up to the next note in the scale from E flat to F. And then you start on this G and go down to G sharp, just G sharp and go down to G. And then you go down a third from, so you have, so you're kind of making more cycles and going around and around. It's sort of similar to the similar way to the Oppenheimer soundtrack, like how that one song "Can You Hear the Music?" It does like this really like round, like these cycles within cycles sort of thing. And on top of that, you have this coming in and out with the velocity, going like almost like it's moving towards you and then back away into the distance. So it sort of has this sense of coming in and out, and it's also like panning around, I think. Yeah, I have panning like stuff going on here. So this is like really panning around. It's moving it from the right ear to the left ear, like panning all the way from the right to the left and back again. So you have that movement as well. It's kind of moving all over the place. And then you have this third part here. It repeats this first part, by the way. It goes back to this, and then it does this again, and then it goes to this fourth part. So we're kind of outlining at the start here a C minor, no, G minor, G major 7 chord, which is basically what the next chord is. And but we're getting ahead of ourselves actually, because we only covered one chord in the harmony. The strings, actually, they're holding on this C minor 9 chord first, but then they go. You have this. So basically, you're going down a third. All of these are shifting down a third instead of going. Because in the bass, we also shift down a third to. So you're going back down to G. But this first time he goes back down to G in the bass, he doesn't even shift the chords. He just kind of shifts the bass and uses the same chord. And the thing about this chord progression is he's basically going down in thirds the whole time. You go from C down a third to A flat, down a third to F, down a third to D, but instead you go up an octave. And then you resolve back to C. So kind of what he's doing is, like, for the most part of this song, and the other chords are reflecting this, because if you go down in thirds, you are basically like, let's take for example a simple C. If you go down to G, if you go down to A flat, 2 of these notes are the same. There's only 1 note difference. You could create this same chord by moving this top note up to A flat. But this is the same A flat note. So these 2 notes here, this C and this E flat, are staying the same, which means that you hear little to no movement in this chord progression because of the, there's not that many changing of notes. If you went, you would hear a lot of movement. That's why in the, this is basically the chord progression to the main Zelda theme. And that creates a lot of movement, so it creates a sense of adventure because you're moving down. The chords change, all the notes change every time you change a chord progression. So, yeah, this is basically avoiding as much movement as it possibly can until we get to that D, and then we resolve back to C, which creates sort of a bit of a resetting sound. Too bad I have to go. My connection is terrible. Oh well. Have a good night, and thank you for coming. We'll see you next time. It's amazing how music can mimic these movements. Yes, it is. Very beautiful. Oh wow, we got some people. Got some conversation going here. How did Donkey Kong make all of this music? Donkey Kong made the music himself. There you go. I have a question. How do you know this was programmed or have a source? You know how this was programmed or have a source? I know that I don't have a source. Like, the source that for this comes from interviews and stuff. Basically, David Wise has said this thing was programmed in a tracker in hex code. So they used a I think they used. He said that they used a script to basically import the notes and like do all the volume changes and like implement vibratos and stuff like that. So that took a lot of the workload, but most of this stuff had to be programmed into the game by hand by just like writing all the hex codes. So that's basically what he did. If that answers your question. Love the remake you did of this song. It's so dope. Thank you, Egon's Dream. Welcome to the stream. Donkey Kong equals Mozart. I made music. I am Donkey Kong. Welcome, Donkey Kong. What's up, mate? It's been a while. Hey, welcome, Andy. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you here. Yeah. Amazing, yeah, okay. Would you like to make a score for a game similar to DKC? Yeah, that would be great. We'll see if I haven't really gotten, well, I haven't really gotten a call, but I've been approached about projects similar to DKC, but I would like to do more games that are like kind of the Donkey Kong ethos, which is like most games nowadays are doing like a bunch of cinematic stuff and trying to feel like a movie. But I would like to see a return of like games with a lot of color, like Cuphead. Cuphead was a great example of that. So was Little Big Planet. So I would like to do a game more like this, or like Donkey Kong, or one of those games, with a lot of color value and like allowing you to sort of go off a lot. Hey Sam, keep up the good work, buddy. Great job, man. Thank you, Static. Welcome. All right. Now, let's go further with this theme. We can sort of cover more of these chords in more depth. So basically, you have this movement of, you start out with and then so that's C minor 9 with no 7th, and then you go down, make the same movement to A minor 9, A flat major 9 with no 7th. But you make it diatonically, so where we started on a minor chord, this A flat will be major. That's important to remember. And then we go down to F, but we don't use that third again. We don't use the A flat. We use the 5th. We have the root F. We have the 5th C. And then we have the E flat, which is the 7th. And then we go all the way up. We skip the 9th, which would be G, and we go all the way to the 11th, which is B flat. And basically, he's keeping the notes exactly the same as, let's see. So that's the A flat major, G sharp or G sharp major. And then we go, no, I'm wrong. This is the, the A flat major 9 happens here, except that here we're doing this is basically like root 3rd, 5th, and then 7th. No, wait, this is G. 7th, 9th, 11th. So we have basically A flat 11 here, A flat major 11 here, because he's keeping these chords the same. So we go to A flat major 11, and then we go to F11 here. So we have basically so we're just keeping this 5th, this 7th, and this 11th here. So we're making that same downward motion, and then we just move this this D sharp up to F, basically making a stack of fourths in the treble here, and then we move to D. And so basically what he's doing is, like, if you made this same movement, we go from C minor 9 to G major 11 to F major 11, F minor 11. If you made this same movement here, we would hit D diminished 11, but we don't like this tone because this doesn't sound good. This diminished in the key. This is in the key of C minor. The D is the second chord, which creates a diminished chord, which does not sound good. So what he does is he moves the A sharp up here, basically making it a sharp 5th chord. So then you have all the necessary. So basically we're going. So that means that, well, we have the D in the bass, right? we have a stack of fourths on top, so we basically have the, what is this? 7th is the C. The 3rd and the sharp 5th is A sharp. Oh, but it actually goes down here for this. So it's a lot of like different extended harmonies is basically what creates this sound, and a deep bass and high highs. And then we go, now that we're basically introduced and he smacks us in the face with this huge scary chord. Now that we've got an earful of that riff, we shift everything down an octave from... Oh, wait. We go for, and then we shift everything down an octave to... This is a lot more relaxing because now we are kind of in tuned with this stage. He's like, okay, you had this like scary movement, now you're kind of used to it. So now we can do this an octave lower, which is a lot more relaxing. So he's basically... And now we have this... Here, hold on, I'll read chat for a second. I love catching you. Let's see. Hold on. If anyone has any questions about DKC engineering code, feel free to ask me. I have a PhD in PhD in DKC. Nice. Yeah, me too, man. Welcome. You might this might be enjoyable for you then. You might have some comments here. What software is this? FL Studio, chum. Welcome. Yes, this is FL Studio. I love catching you live. You are one of few gems in which can transform these classic songs and give them a modern touch. Captures all the nostalgia in high def. Thanks again for everything. Welcome, Jace Plays. Jace Plays. Thanks you for that. That's beautifully said. Welcome. I've listened to this at least over 100 times, man. This is it's so seamless and really stayed true to the original track. You brought so many memories back to life. Thank you. I'm glad. That's very beautiful. This software is FL Studio. Absolutely love your work. Thank you. Shine on, brother. Thank you, SFD. Welcome. Hi, Sam. Hi, Lucy. Welcome. Well, good to see you. Hello, bro. Hello, Samurai Storm 89. Welcome. Love Donkey Kong Country. Goon Killer. Welcome. Welcome, Goon Killer. All right, so basically in this next section, we are doing the same thing in the bass, except the bass changes instruments. So we have this wave station sort of like cycling wave bass. It keeps changing sounds like this. And this is basically just cycling through a bunch of waveforms that are usually present in the game. This is the harp, actually. Just played down really low. This is the flute. Played down, once again, played down low. And then we have the harmonica. Played down low. And then played an octave above that. And then we have this synth bass. And then we have claves, actually. Creating this, like, boop. And then we have that synth from, like, the factory theme. Played down low. But played an octave higher than the last one, so it's like... Actually, this bass, it's sort of an octave already. So you have this... It all comes together to sound like this morphing synth. Now, and we are basically making the same movements as we did in the intro. We're going from... but this time, and we're going back to A flat. This time we're going up an octave instead, so we have sort of a different movement. And then we go back to C again. So we're basically jumping around in thirds. And for like a couple of bars, and then we go back, then we make this like, that same descension back down to F. and then down to D. And this time we do go completely down for the D instead of going up. So, and then the rest of the chords in here are basically taking a more relaxing form, going an octave down. So we're doing, let's see. So we have that C minor 9. And this time we have and this time for that G sharp major, we don't keep the 9th here. We don't keep the 9th here. We go back down. We make the same movement. We keep, and then we use the G's 9th. So it's basically making the same shift down. So in total, we're going... It's still a big chord, but it's significantly more relaxing. And then we're going back up here. And then when we switch to the F here in the bass, we basically don't change chords. So you're just getting... And then you're changing that F, but it's the upper chord notes are staying the same. And then we go for this 4th stack again with the D. So it's basically the same chords with a little bit of a different context to create a more relaxing atmosphere. I never knew the bass was more than one instrument. Oh yeah, it's many instruments. Yeah, it's like that's basically what the whole ethos of the wave station is, and that's why Dave loved using the wave station so much. It was a thing that had many patches in the wave station where they just string a bunch of waves together, and it sounds like it's morphing. Thanks for uploading the Donkey Kong soundtrack. You're welcome, Emperor Renzo. Glad you enjoy it. Bye. I really enjoyed your analysis. All right, have a nice time, Dark Pit. I think the sample bait and switch that was used really made the track stand out so much from the other SNES games. Yes, it did. It really introduced a lot of expression, where like like the thing is like what made Dave such a great composer is he was willing to put more work into this soundtrack than most other composers were, because most of the soundtracks you hear basically like straight like just didn't really push the sound chip too hard. He basically like just pushed it as hard as it'll go, and really like he really did a lot of work on the sound design, where most of the Japanese composers were doing a lot more work on the composition and doing more complicated things with music theory than with sound design. So he did the opposite. He basically simplified the compositional elements and did a lot of work on the production side. So basically the chords are staying the same here. And then you have this little drum, which is interesting, because here we have a tambourine, and then you have this sonar sound. Whoops, that's too low. But this sonar sound was created by it's basically the tambourine. It's the tambourine sound, but if you play it down a bunch of octaves, you have 1 octave down, 2 octaves down. You can't hear it because the note is short, but that's basically, you can hear the beginning. So this is like 3 octaves down. 1, 2, 3. So it's basically the same sample, just 3 octaves down. Lovely sound. Beautiful, like, metallic sound. It almost sounds like a submarine ping, you know? Boo! How the submarines make that ping sound. And then you have, in the melodic elements, you have this lead guitar sound. This is interesting because it's actually from a harmonica sound. And it's basically like he just took 5 vibrations of this harmonica, and now it kind of imperfectly it's like an imperfect loop, so it basically has a lot of distortion and it gives you the sound of a guitar feedback. So, but it's not an actual guitar. And you basically have it coming in and out on a G note. And then you have this piano doing some fun stuff up here. And this is really nice because we're going like a minor second, from a minor second and then a fifth up. So a minor second is very jarring. It's very jarring. And then if you go up a fifth, but that's nice. So it's contrasting this nice fifth sound with this jarring, creepy minor second sound. So if you do this as an arpeggio, it has a really, really mysterious and beautiful sound. We're doing this in the harp, which is basically that same motion, just the A sharp is put down here. So you're kind of playing with that D, E flat, A, B flat kind of thing. And then in the piano in the feedback, he goes up to a D and then like sort of bends it down to an C. And then the piano is doing some fun stuff. Basically doing this same thing, kind of the same style as the opening riff. It's like a little round ostinato that fades out into infinity. And then he like leaves some space here. You just have and then you just leave this chord blank to start out. And then we come in with this beautiful harp gliss. So this harp gliss is basically just going like diatonically. Just climbing up the C minor scale, starting on A sharp. But it's skipping this this G A flat. And then it kind of shifts back down to A flat here. And it keeps on doing that cycle. Nice. So you have that huge harp glissando they call that. And then you have this melody. But I'll get into that in a second. Let's see. Love your DK Island remaster. One thing I noticed is that the original bass is much louder. Do you feel this was done due to the limitations of the hardware at the time, or an artistic choice? A little bit of both. It definitely wasn't done due to limitation. The bass is really loud in the original because he wanted to create this like huge bass vibration. He was basically like inspired by club music, which has really heavy bass. And because of that, I've had to I've pretty much mixed the entire soundtrack, where I usually, the bass, I put it in between 3 and 6 here, but in Donkey Kong Country, I made it louder and it goes all the way up to 3, whereas if it goes up here, that would be the max amount of volume. So basically, most of the volume in this, in the soundtrack is taken up by the bass. And then on the mids, I usually go, actually, for some reason here, I didn't go down to 3. Usually I go to 3 in the mids, but most of the time in this soundtrack, I go in between 3 and 6. And then I go to 12 on the highs. So it was a very dark soundtrack, and intentionally to give it this sort of atmosphere and this heavy bass, because back in the day, the TVs had like a lot of bass capability because they were huge. So you had like subwoofers. I don't know if you had subwoofers, but you had pretty low bass capabilities in the TVs of the 90s. So that would always sound really nice. And he made it for the hardware, basically. And let's see. And it was also like soundtrack. It was also system limitations because the system could not produce very much high notes, but it was very good at producing like low and warm basses. So he worked within that by making the soundtrack very bass heavy, I think. Let's see. Same as the pickaxe sound they used through DK. That is actually not the same sound. It is, but they did use this in Misty Menace. They did not use this in DK2. This is not. It sounds the same. It's still a metallic hit, but the sound that made the Donkey Kong Country 2 pickaxe was a different one, and that would be, where do I have it stored? Somewhere in here. Oh, it was in Donkey Kong Country. That was, let's see. It's this pipe hit. That's the one. So this is like, they sound very similar, don't they? But this one is like, this one's a much noisier sound than the pickaxe. The pipe hit has a very strong fundamental. Has a strong fundamental right here, and then it has all this noise going on in the top. But basically, it's like this strong fundamental. But then in this one, you don't really have that fundamental at all because it's a tambourine sample. So it's very noisy. So there's not really that same ring to it as you had with the pickaxe sound. Let's see. You may have already answered this, but where do you find the MIDI files to transfer them into the studio? So I have in most of my videos, I have a link to a drive folder. In some of the newer ones, you'll definitely be able to find it. If you look on the description of like maybe the newest Donkey Kong Country videos, you can find a link to this drive folder that has, and it has, as you see here, it has like the Donkey Kong Country sounds with all the instrument patches, and you have track blueprints. These are basically the MIDIs, and you can use those in your studio. Now, what you can convert these with, you can use, you should be able to use, I can't remember what, I think somebody made them for me, but you should be able to use VGM, a program called VGM Trans, to convert the SPC files to MIDI. You have to look for SPC files and then convert them to MIDI. Or you can convert the ROM file, if you can get a hold of that too. It should work. Let's see. Hello there. Hello, LSA, Lamato, Angelo, SFA. Welcome. That's a mouthful. Welcome to the stream, though. Aquatic Ambience, more like freaky ambience. There you go. Wows. You should upload these analyses as their own per song videos. Good stuff. Yeah, I could do that. I'm gonna put timestamps in this video so that people can see, like, people can skip to the video that they like, to the part of the video that they want. I don't think that we'll have to see how long this video goes because we're already pushing almost an hour and a half. So we'll have to see. But basically, let's go on to now the final part of the thing, which is the melody of this song. We have, whoops, that's too high. So basically, we're kind of outlining a G sus4 chord, which is kind of what we did for like a DK Island Swing, right? So we're going, and then we have this. We were kind of playing around up here, and then we go down to A sharp. So this is a clear change in the chord, and this is at the point of the song when we have this G sharp going, the G sharp chord. So basically, an A sharp is the, what is it? It's the 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th. It's the 9th of G sharp major, so we're kind of establishing a 9th here. So we're establishing that new chord with the 9th. And then we go, and then we also have this sort of sus sound. Actually, this is outlining the, like basically the chord we had here with the 3rd, 5th, and 9th. So you're basically going A, B flat, C, and D sharp, which is basically Those three notes basically make up the top of the chord of that G sharp chord. So you're kind of outlining that. And then you just repeat that. And then you go back and you repeat that part again because we're going back to that same C chord. Da, da, da. You're basically, now we're climbing up. We're making this sort of same motion. But this time we're climbing up to the next A sharp up. So it's like, and we're still making the same motion of A sharp, C, and D sharp. And then we do it an octave lower. But we're kind of jumping around in octaves basically to give it this huge like range. But these are all basically the same chords that we establish in the ambient in the middle section, which is just going from, you're going from C minor 9 here to G sharp major 9 here, and then going back to C minor 9 for these two bars, and then back to G sharp major 9 for these two bars. And then it's here that we switch to the F, the F minor 11. No, F minor 11. So, and then we have this flute sound, which he like shortens in the game to a synth, but I sort of elongated it here. Oh, that's really loud somehow. So we're kind of playing around with this G sharp, which is the third of the F chord. And then we go down to C, which is the fifth of the chord. So we're kind of having this like this, it's once again that minor second and then fifth change that we did, remember before we did. So it's basically doing that same motion on G sharp. So we're just kind of playing around with that. And then we end, and then right here is where we hit the D chord. We end with that F, which is also the third of the D chord. So we started on the G sharp, which is the third of the F chord, and then we ended on the F, which is the third of the D chord. So we're ending on thirds here. So you have... So that's the secret to kind of creating these relaxing sounds, is making these kind of motions here. Those kind of motions are the secret, and of course these long extended harmonies are also the secret. And then what for the very last thing we have is this A sharp piano. It's a really high-pitched A-sharp piano. So you have this A-sharp just kind of echoing out, and it's playing octaves on the A, which is like the sharp fifth in the chord. And then in the drums, you just basically have like a kick echoing out, followed by a tambourine and a clave. But this clave, this would be the natural note of the clave. This is like a very Latin instrument. It's like these two wood sticks you hit together, but he's putting it down an octave. So it gives it this like real click sound, almost like another sonar ping. Like doot, 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 doot. So to me, it sounds a lot like a sonar ping again. So that's basically that song. Okay, that was a lot. That was a big song to cover. Let's see. Thank you, brother. You got a good topic. Yes, thank you, Leon. Thank you, Leon Masters. Donkey Country. Yes. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? How's it going? It's going good. How are you? Yeah, this is I'm happy to be doing this today. Been having a good time going out to shows, making music. There will be some new music coming too, behind the scenes. How, I'm the one called Angelo. I'm the one called Angelo SFA. Angelo SFA. Okay, that's easier. Let's see. Could you make a remix music of the Ghost World and the Bird Race of Donkey Kong Country? I did actually remaster that. You're talking the Ghost World is a Forest Interlude. So if you look at Forest Interlude, I have a playlist filled with my Donkey Kong Country 2 remasters. You can go and find Forest Interlude. And the Bird Race is also covered. The entire soundtrack is covered. So we have that's a Bad Bird Rag is the Bird Race song. So you can go and find that on the playlist as well. It's toward the bottom. Have you ever messed around with music trackers yourself? No, I have no desire to mess around with music trackers because I do not like coding. Coding is the bane of my existence. And I particularly actually hate computers because of the how complicated they are to use, like how complicated this is to use. And I basically like get frustrated when something goes wrong in my streams a lot. So I prefer to keep the I prefer to keep the user friendliness to a maximum and avoid using trackers as much as possible. Actually, altogether, completely. I don't want to use trackers because they are not necessary today. I feel like they are a like if any like when you use a tracker, it's more for the like novelty of the experience, I guess, like to experience what the people back in the day made, and I do not have the desire to do that because I don't like working with code and stuff like that. I find it frustrating. Thank you, the Kirk. The Kirk came in with $50. Nice. I appreciate you. Thank you for chiming in with that. Welcome, welcome to the stream. The Thurk. The Thurk is his name. Nice. Let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Wow, I am honored. That's amazing. Love that. Thank you, the Thurk. Hey, welcome, Bio Cyber Goth. Sam the Jam and Miller. I just wake up. Ah, nice. You must be in like Europe, or you're waking up really late. Either way, welcome. Thank you very much for the donation to say yes. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, so let's get into another song. What would be the next song that we should do? Let's go to what's the next like major theme? Someone requested Life in the Mines. Let's do that one real quick. Now this one is very much feels like almost like the there was a scene from the X-Files where they were in the vents. Can't remember the episode. I think it was like episode 2 or something. They were in the vents and they had all these like crazy noises that were going, atmospheres that were going on. It almost reminded me of Life in the Mines a little bit. So here, the most prominent thing in this intro to start out is all the percussion sounds. So we have a lot of sounds going on here quickly, and it's one of those sort of wave station patches, I feel like, where it's like he strings a bunch of waves together. And we start out with this hi-hat, which is also, it's actually, this hi-hat is the sound that you use that creates Rambi's panting sound. If you leave Rambi alone, it's an interesting tidbit that it's like, that's that sound. That's his Rambi's panting sound, which is really clever. I like that he like thought to like change that to breathing. Actually, in Super Metroid, also the hi-hat was used as breathing in the beginning. So that's pretty clever, like using a hi-hat as breathing sounds. It's like a little clever thing. Anyway, so you start out with this. You have this high up tom drum, and it's like there's a little bit of attack, so it's a softer hit. So you have this like soft hit, and then you have a drop of water, interestingly enough. And then you have a gyro. And then you have this like quick Aquatic Ambience callback, Airvox note. And then you have a snare played up really high, I think. Yeah, it's basically just a click at this point. It's almost like a side stick, like when you hit the stick on the side of the drum stick. I think that's what he's going for here. And you have more hi-hats. And then you have... Hey, let's see, you go back down to the bongos here. Low bongo, like a really low pitch bongo. And then you go to this pipe hit, which is the one used in Mining Melancholy. It's played down really low. And then you go for what's next? Oh, you have another tom hit at a different pitch. Nice. And then you have the bongo again. Played at a more normal note this time. And then you have these claves played down low. Actually, really low. Yeah. As low as the Aquatic Ambience bass. And then you have, again, another bongo. Played even lower. And then you have this pipe hit again, which plays up high. And then you finish with the more claves played down low. Actually, the first one was played at a more normal pitch here. And then you play it down low. So you have, see if you can hear that. And you have a lot of strong delays going on there, but that's basically what's happening. Lots of drums and sound effects. Thank you very much. Life in the Mines or Forest Frenzy. This is definitely Life in the Mines. Can you do Hothead Bop next? We will not be going on to DKC2 today. We'll be doing that next week. I want to do DK2 next week because and one reason is there are actually a lot of themes that are like I'm very excited to talk about that one because there's a lot of ways that he brought the themes from Donkey Kong Country 1 into DK2. And basically most of the major themes are like a lot of regurgitations of the Donkey Kong Country 2 main themes, which is pretty fun. I'm excited to cover that. Okay, so the other thing that's happening in this track is we have like some rising voice tones. Nice. And these are basically pairs of fifths, so it's like power chords just going up at different intervals. So he's doing that, and then he's going up an octave and rising it up even more, so now it's creating more tension. And then he goes down a fifth to the G power chord, and then he goes up an octave again, creating more tension. And then you have this like morphing synth here. Sort of like a popcorn synth. Sounds like an abstract popcorn or something. You have this. They're all wave station tones, I believe. You have this really high resonant synth. Created by basically using a lot of resonance. You see this strong collection of frequencies here. That's a filter doing that. So it's a very high resonance synth, giving this piercing quality. Then you have this violin tone playing a it's like a violin synth. Whoops. Oh my. This is okay. Yeah, YouTube did some weird stuff here. I've been waiting for this live for decades. Well, wait no longer, Sabo Tinder. Welcome to the stream. Your day is here. Which of the three is your favorite musically? I would say Donkey Kong 2 is my favorite musically. That one did the most. He really got used to the medium or the system, and he really was able to run with it so well. So, and then we have this like flute. This flute sound it's trimmed to one frequency, one repeating frequency. And then we have a harp. So it's basically just playing between these with another wave station type of thing. To make it sound like this like morphing synth line. And then you have this. This is also the airvox in a bass, playing really low, so it's got this like nice ominous bass voice choir tone thing. Basically just holding this note for the entire duration of this song. And then it's like you go into, then we start to establish sort of a chord progression where we go, you have G to A sharp, and then C, which is the fourth of the scale, and then you have, go back down to G. And you just keep going in a cycle with that. Actually, no, this second time, he hits the G again, up to A sharp, up to C, and then he goes to D. And D is the fifth of the scale. So then when we go back to D, we go back to D with this. Go down an octave. Basically, it's like, so you have this like ba boom. You go way back, you go ba boom. Kind of really like dropping down low. So in the bass we're doing A sharp, C, da 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 do do. Nice. So it's almost like this entire song is a series of rises and falls. You have this voice doing this rising, and then it fades away, and then it goes higher and rises even more. You're building tension, you're dropping tension. And then you're going down. Okay, we're building a little less tension. Dropping tension. And then building tension again, even more. And then releasing. So it's like this series of like tension and release. Tension and release is very present in this song. And you have it in this bass where we're going up. We're going up from G. You're going up to A. Up, building tension. And then release. So we're going building tension. And then this second part, we're building even more tension by going up higher. And they're dropping right back down to the beginning, all the way down to that same actually, this is a C. We're going to C here. Ah, I see. Yeah. So we're not going quite down as low as the beginning, but we're going down to D. And then we're doing some string. We have some strings here in the harmony, which will establish our chords a bit better. So we're doing, here, let me read chat real quick. We have $10 from Sabo Tinder. Thank you. Welcome, Sabo Tinder. I'm glad you, thank you for contributing to my shenanigans. Nice. And let's see, I'm not great with music theory, but I almost feel as if a large part of this soundtrack is managing and satisfying the expectations of the listener, along with a few surprises to keep them hooked. Yes, that is exactly accurate, because it's like you want to do things that people are familiar with, right? So you want to have these popular cliches and sort of things like 1-4-5-1, like 1-5-4-1, and using pop chords. But you also want to juxtapose it with some unexpected stuff. So you want to keep people on the edge of their seat, but also give them what they, what's tried and true and what people like to hear. So you want to not rely on cliches, but you do want to use them to your advantage in combination with surprises. That creates for great songwriting. So the harmony we have here is, so this is the first chord in conjunction with this C, G in the bass. One of the staples of Dave's music is that he uses this deep bass way down here for the root note, and then he goes up here with the up high with the harmony. So you have this big sound, this big wide sound. So basically, we're establishing a G minor chord here, and bass is going up to A sharp, and then the strings are going down to F, and then you have this big wide 6 here going to D. So basically, this is a G. Where we're still establishing an A major chord. So you basically all have root chords here. You just have exactly as the bass designed it. And then we're going up, while we have a C in the bass, we're going up to G here, and then E, basically establishing a C major chord, but you're putting the third up an octave above the fifth. So you have this wider sound. And this is something that a lot of EDM producers abused into 2012. They would have these chords where it was like... You would have, basically, you would take... You would, instead of just a traditional chord, you would take the third and put in an octave up to make the chord sound wider. You can hear this prevalent in a lot of electronic music around the early 2010s and late 2000s. So this is something he's using here to his advantage in these last two chords, where he's going in the bass. You have an A sharp followed by a fifth and then the third up top. And then he goes up to C, again keeping this fifth and high up third. So he's using that to make these big chords that are like, these chords seem bigger than they actually are. And then you have it going, the bass going back to the D, while also, like, basically we're going back to the start, G minor. And then going back to, but this time instead of taking that F, we're staying with, actually here we have something different here. We have a G. So once the bass goes back down to G, instead of making it a G minor, we make it a G sus2 with this A. And then we resolve back to G minor with by moving that A one note up to A sharp, which is something that we do, that is done a lot for resolution in music. We did it in DK Island Swing when we went. So you have this sus4, this G sus4 chord, and we resolve to G major by putting that C simply going back down to B. So he's doing that same thing here, so basically doing A, and then resolving that A, which makes a G sus2 with the bass, up to A sharp for a G minor. So it's kind of creating a resolution here. And then we go here down to... We basically restarted over again with that G minor. And we're starting the whole chord progression over again. A sharp, C, so he's going, right now we have a D in the bass, and then we're doing C and F. So C is the seventh of D minor. And so we're establishing a 7 chord here, and we're creating some tension because a 7 does create some tension while creating a lot of beauty. As opposed to... So it creates this heightened sense of tension by having that as the climax. And then we go to just a straight D major, so we're going down. So we're having this sort of resolution from tension to release. It's a big release going back down to that bass. Let's see. David Wise is Padawan. There you go. I like the sound of that. The Wise Man, Sir David Wise. Goosebumps. Ah, nice. Let's see, any way of getting these exact patterns? I want to pass them through Defel Mask and create YM262 versions of the DKC OST for fun. One way of doing that, if you want to port this into another program, I would say if you go in, you download FL Studio. You can get a free demo of FL Studio on the ImageLine website, and the only difference is you can't save projects, but you don't need to save projects. You just need to grab all these patterns. So you can go and basically just go to pattern, make sure you're in pattern here, and then select the pattern that you want, and then go export this to MIDI. You can go export to MIDI, and then you have this as a MIDI file. You can go import it wherever you want, and basically import all these pieces, and then go into whatever program you want with them, but that can import MIDI. That should work out. Let's see. David Wise was making commerce in the 80s. Commerce in the 80s? What, I don't know what that means, making commerce. Like he was selling. He was doing his thing. He was working on NES in the 80s. He was doing NES tunes. And actually, that the opening to the final boss of Donkey Kong Country is reprised from a game called Pirates that he did the soundtrack for the NES. He does this same like pirate ditty thing, like a sea shanty sort of thing. Now I'm imagining EDM with the DKC sound font. Ah, welcome, No Name. Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. I can hear the drums already. $20, 20 euros from Sabo Tender. Thank you, Sabo Tender, again. This is drooling this live. Superb. Gonna do more Ice Cave Chant, perhaps? Yes, I can do Ice Cave Chant when we get to that. Let's continue with this, and then we'll move on to the next one. So the melody here is basically just going kind of like we did in the jungle, in the third section of the jungle theme where we went. Here we're doing that on different notes. We're going A sharp, C, D. And then we're following the chord progression. So right now this is outlining a D minor, the top of a D minor chord with this third and fifth. And then we're doing that an octave up, because just like in Aquatic Ambience, we did that too with the... So that was also, I feel like that Aquatic Ambience thing was also calling back to Jungle Groove with the... So we kind of did that in Aquatic Ambience with the... It's kind of like a lot of octave jumping. So we're doing... It's basically a call and response, because we're calling and then we're responding higher, an octave higher. And then you go to you jump to A sharp the top of A sharp major with the D and F. And then you do, right now we're in C major, so you're basically also taking, once again, the third and fifth. No, actually, this is the root and third. We switched here. So, and then doing that a little higher. And then going back down to D. This is when we go back to G, so we're establishing this fifth of G. And then we basically just repeat all that again, so you can hear it's like... A sharp major, C major, and then back to G. And then we're staying at G, no chord change. A sharp major again, C major, and then we're making that switch to D by highlighting that fifth. So we walk down, and then we make this jump, a 6 up, which is also a callback to the main theme. So we're doing... So we're highlighting that fifth, and then we go back down. So we're hanging out on this tone here. And then we have this, where we establish this harp riff. So this harp riff is once again, let's see. it's also kind of doing this thing where it's like we did in where it's using a minor second, like we did. Except it's jumping down a sixth instead of a fifth. So David Wise liked to do a lot of these ostinatos, these really emotional ostinatos, and it's basically outlining a D minor chord. Because most of these notes fit into with the D minor chord, and then we're going up to D. We're having that bottom note go up, establishing this as an outline of an A sharp major chord. So we're kind of having this jump between D minor and A major, A sharp major. Okay, and then you have this rising synth tone that is also a callback to Aquatic Ambience a little bit. And it's also a callback to the beginning where we had these rising voice tones. Now we have this rising synth tone. That's also one of those high resonance synths. It's actually that same high resonance sound, but it's playing up so high that we don't even hear the high resonance anymore. That high resonance gets cut off. It's so high that you can't even hear it. Just nice little fun tone. And then we bring back this popcorn synth again. And now we have this Moog bass. It's like basically the sound of a synth Moog bass played on a Moog synthesizer. And we're kind of hanging out on D here. Repeating D. And then we repeat these chords again, but and it's the same chords as before, I do believe. Yeah, same chords as before, and then it's the same bass notes too, but the bass is being played by this Moog, and we're sort of having this. So we have that same motion from G to A sharp to C, and then we have same motion. But now we have drums in here too, so it's really just making this like a heavy rock kind of thing, like a dun 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 da da. It's also kind of a metal thing to go in a slow tempo, but keep driving these 16th notes. Dun, 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 sort of a slow driving thing. I think Alice in Chains did this a lot too, and so did like Black Sabbath. Nice, lovely. Let's see. Stickerbush Symphony is still the best video game song ever. Ah, you like Stickerbush Symphony, do you? I like Stickerbush Symphony too. Welcome, Dominique Espinoza. Thank you. Stickerbush is a bit overrated, whilst there's many songs in DKC too. But they focus on that one due to having the wannabe sax. Oh yeah, the wave station sax is very nice. Yeah, it's super obvious. The Pirates NES theme is like he basically revamped that theme. Made me trip out for a second. Monkey's theme is the best then. There you go. Let's see. Okay, we got another 10 euros from Sabo Tinder. Thank you, Sabo Tinder. I appreciate you a lot with this. My heart is divided between DKC's music, Mega Man music, and Nobu Yamatsu music, Final Fantasy, but I did buy Sammy effin' Jam Sam's Miller music any day. Thank you. I appreciate that. That makes me happy. All right. Let's see. I'm an Aquatic Ambience. Oh, yeah. Mighty Melancholy. I love them all. They're all great. So we're basically, now we're doing this melody again, right? Just kind of re-putting that melody in as like a chorus. And then we go back to this harp. We're basically reusing all the things. So we're having this harp again. And then you have this rising synth come back in again. And then you have this popcorn synth. We're basically slimming it down to just the tones. And like then it falls, the bass falls, and then you come back. So that's basically that song. All right. So let's keep going. My voice is going out a little bit. We might need to take a break because it's been like 2 hours. Let's do one more. We'll do one more song. Let's see. Next major theme I feel like was someone wanted to go over Misty Menace, so we'll go over Misty Menace. That would be a quick one because there's not a lot going on there, like compositionally. So we'll do that one, and then we'll take a break. That'll be good. Yes. All right, so this is not a stat. Okay, so you basically start out with this. This is like an mine ambience, and this is actually the sound of an elevator shaft that they used to make this. It's a short loop. So I think this is the root note here. Yeah. Do I have the full thing here? Do I have the full wave starting? Because this is just a little looped piece. Yeah, that's really the piece there. But I think that's a good sized piece. But it basically went on the sound effect from like a stock sound effect, and he plays it down low over here, like an octave lower. And it's kind of coming in and out to create tension and release in this creepy thing. Oh, this one's actually hanging on it. This lower 1 octave below is actually hanging on it here. And then we have this one playing notes. This one's coming in and out. And then we go up. And look, there's that fifth. There's that up a second and then up a fifth. And then we go down up a fifth again with E. So we're basically creating this ambience going in and out. Nice. Sort of like sounds that go bump in the night. Let's see. The 80s influence shows. Yes, he was very influenced by Phil Collins and the like. They listened to a lot of like 80s pop. This involved in the Moog synthesizer, whose prominence was throughout the decade. Yes, the Moog was like very prominent, as well as the DX7 was used for a lot of basses and stuff like that. I'm split between Donkey Kong Country, STH2, Earthworm Jim whenever I feel bad I hear any of these songs OSTs. Yes, very powerful. Nostalgia is a very good healing experience. Remembering how you grew up is very good. Forest Interlude? No, this is not. This is Misty Menace. So let's see, and I love this one. It really makes you think you're getting in too deep into the vile sections of the underground hall where you cannot see shit and you're just trying to get out alive. A scary one. Yes, it really had, like, they really created a, like, menacing ambience to this. It's amazing. The depth of these tunes. Can we all agree DKC tunes are just too gloomy and one-noted? I do like DKC3's tunes, actually. I think Evelyn really carried the torch well, and Dave's did some stuff on that one. I do like a lot of the tunes from DK3. Maybe we'll do that one too. I love this soundtrack. Thank you, Donut360. Welcome. Okay, so let's get into these metal sounds here. Oh, but this one got 404'd. Wait, this one is this mute triangle got 404'd. Where is that mute triangle? Oh, did I lose that sound? Wow, I lost it. I have to go and find it again. Oh, well, but basically it's just like jumping around in like minor seconds. So it's basically just creating a bunch of ambience on this. And then you have this sonar sound from Aquatic Ambience, wherever that may be. But it's also playing... But it's playing even lower now. So it's playing really low now. This is way far from the tambourine. It just played up here. And we have like more like 5 octaves down, 4 octaves down. So we have this sort of like thirds going on. Going up and down in thirds, right? So we're establishing some like harmonic movement. And then we come in with these strings. So this is a cluster of a lot of strings here. Basically, if we untangle this, we can establish it as, look, we have, oh wait, this thing is controlled, the volume is being controlled here by this string envelope. And it's still not playing for some reason. Oh, because it's being controlled by the level here. But it's still not playing because that's part 2. There we go. So basically we just have a C minor chord, C minor 7 chord, with the 7 down below. So it's making it a cluster because you have these 3 clusters of notes here. It's really kind of making it jarring. Instead of going, would be more like aquatic ambience, right? Because we had this, we started with this C minor chord. Now we're shifting it down, shifting that A sharp down, and making it a little bit more scary. But it's also very beautiful and relaxing. And then we go to, we have a, what's this? We have D sharp, F, B, and G sharp. So this is basically G sharp minor with an F. It's basically an F actually diminished 7, but we put the diminished part up top to create this downward motion. If we went from to, it would feel like too big of a motion, right? It's like, but then we can kind of smooth out that motion by going and putting the F up top and doing. And then we're basically going back and forth with these 2 chords, just like kind of like Aquatic Ambience did. 2 bars of the C and then 2 bars of the G sharp. So it's also the same chords basically, except that the G sharp is now major. And what this does is it breaks the scale, because this B is not in the scale of C minor. So we're having this sort of, it's sort of making it creepier because it doesn't conform to a scale, but the chords are still very nice and harmonic. And another thing that does this really well is the Hellraiser theme. It does this like, if I don't remember the chords, but listen to the Hellraiser theme, you'll get that same level of like creepiness, but also it's still very beautiful. So this is basically the same chords as Aquatic Ambience, except that now we sort of do the same chord with this 3rd one here, except we put this G sharp down to G, and we establish a nice F sus, or it's a weird chord, but it's basically like that cluster of notes. This is basically F sus diminished 4, I guess. F sus 2 with a flat 5th, 7, something like that. Weird chord. So basically you have this. But I have water that I should be drinking here too. Okay, and we have these kicks that are going on in the background. And echoing very loudly. This part that got ruined. And then we have that pickaxe again. Panning back and forth. It's also that same pickaxe sound from Mining Melancholy. And then we have this melody. Well, we have a melody being played by the same sound, but played up high. This is basically the same pipe hit. Let's see. It's very short. And it has a strong fundamental, so that ring sort of creates the illusion of a tone. We're going like from G to C. Down to F. Down, up to A. Then to G. Basically starting on this G every time and then going to a new note. And then we have more chords. Okay, this is kind of what he is doing here is sort of like a common thing. We're keeping the C the same. The C is prevalent throughout the whole line, for the most part. And then we have a minor second, or a major second, which is very jarring. And then we just descend this note down for a minor third, major third. And then we just establish this big chord, which is a C major 7. With another C in the bass. So it's sort of like we're creating tension going down. And that's basically like kind of a popular resolution, a popular cadence where you're like, you create tension. It's like kind of a resolution in a way. Anyway. So that's pretty much what's going on there. And then you have... This is the ambience pitch bending. He's taking this ambient sound and he's pitch bending it down down 2 octaves. So it's spreading, it's going down. All the while you have this one still prevailing. This ambience keeps on going on throughout the entire soundtrack. It never quits once. And this is pitch bending down at different notes. Nice. And then it restarts. So you have that, it's sort of like creating tension with this repetitive thing, and then it actually sort of like releases to this slow thing. Because it's in constant motion, that's a form of tension. You're creating tension with this constant downward motion. And then you have a release with this like just straight, no motion, no changes. Static. And then you have this going on. You have that metal stuff again. Ah, we have some different metal stuff. This is still that same wave here. Except it's playing really high now. Basically just playing random notes. And then you have this sonar sound. You have this tambourine playing significantly higher, right? And that's basically how we end the tune. And then we roll back to the previous one. So let's see. Nice mug. Oh yeah, this is Donkey Kong mug. My mom got this for my birthday. I thought it was great. Tony Stark. Ah, yeah. Someone commented that my pick. Why is Tony Stark creating Donkey Kong music? And it's like when they saw my picture. And it's like that was funny. And this one is oh, we got a lot of conversation here. The work on this has been amazing. I listened to the whole soundtrack while on a road trip on Saturday. Nice. Yeah, this is great road trip music. Like just relax on like with the wind. It might even like mesh with the wind. This atmosphere sound. The fear including inducing factor for some people really added that quite the tone for certain maps. I feel sad that there's too few deep mine songs. Not Life in the Mines. That one is safe. This one is not. Ah, yes. Yeah, there's like a lot of this is the only really scary theme when they really dialed it up to 11. 94, 95, 96. Yes, those are the years. Donkey Kong Country was 94, and DK2 was 95, and DK3 was 96. Sorry, not song, stages. This one is scary. There's a secret at the beginning of the level to beat the stage quit. Yeah, if you just walk backwards, you go to the end. Walk back to go to the end. Yes, thank you. Tony Stark. I love Stop and Go Station Challenge, but doing the quick note to me feels less like the coward's way out of that one. I love doing it in the reach until the end. Yeah, it's like I'll do that if I'm really just trying to get somewhere else, like trying to get to another level, but I'll play it out if I really want the full experience. And that too. Love these chords, my favorite part of the track, yes. You're doing additional revisions. I'm doing revisions sometimes. Whenever someone points it out, I do a revision. Basically if I see it, I fix it, but I'm not really like actively going in and like reviewing these anymore. Wasn't that steel keg sound you commented a few years earlier? I did. That steel keg sound was like the subject of a lot of debate, so I made a lot of comments about that. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is truly mo. Nice. Just curious, does leaning on these musical terms how to make music itself take a long time? Oh, learning these musical terms. It does take a long time. It helps if you just enjoy what little you know, like when you know a little. Like just enjoy making music like that, and then your knowledge will expand. And as you feel, you just research as you feel it, and then as you if it's interesting to you, basically, I think that if learning music when you know nothing is not interesting to you, then learning music when you know everything will not be interesting to you. Like knowing everything will not be interesting to you. I think it's like it should be fun throughout the whole thing. I'm always like looking about new music stuff and trying to learn new musical things. So it's never it just never ends. You never master it. So you're always in a constant state of learning. But if you were just starting to learn, I would say just learn the 4-5-1. Whoops, that's not a melodic thing. Sorry for your ears. I would just say learn the 4-5-1, C major. So 1, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1. Learn those three chords. If you learn those three chords, everything else, like you can make music. You're a musician. That's the simplest formula for making music, and it's like folk music has used that for decades, for centuries, millennia. 4-5-1, that's all you need to start out. Love your restorations, man. Thank you, Valor X. Welcome. Just let's see. The KC trilogy saves me energy and puts away anxiety of working. Yes, it does have a very relaxing sound, and it has reduced a lot of my anxiety. Do you use hardware or VSTs mainly? Neither. I use either samples that I found from hardware dumps online. So basically, people who have the hardware have dumped the ROM from the hardware, basically pulling all the digital data out of the hardware and putting it up online for all to access. And it's free. If you know where to look, you can find it. Basically, I found all these digital files straight from the hardware, no modifications, and I just put them back together. See, this is like a sample. This is a raw sample. This is a raw sample from a sound effects library. And if I use VSTs, it'll be the Korg WaveStation VST. But then I also use a lot of sound fonts for these, which is basically just a collection of samples put together. Let's see. This is going to be... This is, I did use a VST for this one. Lots of these are just samples. This is a sample. Just raw samples for the most part, but also I have some contact instruments that are put together because a lot of these samples have multiple like samples at different pitches. So you basically compile them into like a contact patch or a sound font. But I try to use VSTs if I can avoid it because it just means that people have to get the VSTs to see these things. I used the Sound Canvas VA for the strings, so you need to have that VST. But for the most part, these samples will read if you just have the you have them downloaded. Yeah, that's sick. Thank you. So anyway, this is where we'll cut it off for now for today. It's like 6 o'clock now, so I'm gonna go out and do some fun stuff. But this is a great turnout for this. I want to come back and do the rest of the soundtrack tomorrow. So basically, maybe tomorrow. Yeah, we'll probably do the rest of this tomorrow. I want to come out and do more Donkey Kong sounds. Maybe someone mentioned no one mentioned Forest Frenzy. Basically, I want to go through. Someone requested Ice Cave Chant. We'll do Ice Cave Chant probably tomorrow in the next one. And then we'll go through to Fear Factory. Someone requested Fear Factory. And then we'll do the final boss theme, which has a lot of fun. That's our big finish, is the final boss theme, I feel like. So we'll go through all that, and then that'll be tomorrow. That's just 3 of them. That's just 3 songs. So we'll probably get that done tomorrow, and then go on to Donkey Kong 2 in the same one. And then we'll restart the stream for that. All right, so how would it have been instead of using overly compressed samples? Composers used an FM synth. Kind of makes me appreciate the effort to put into an FM synth a lot more since those are difficult. Yeah, if they were doing an FM synth, this would basically have been completely different. You would have had to, instead of using samples are recordings, so you can't get that with an FM synth. You would have had to basically create this sound with an FM synth, and you can kind of do that with like an FM synth. Like Citrus has presets for this. You can have like synths. Let's see, where's a good strings patch? And this actually this actually sounds quite the same because this is a sample of a synth. This was made on the Roland Jupiter 8, which was included in the Roland U220 as a sample, and Dave sampled that and used this. But it was originally, this is synth strings. So basically you could get the same sound. This is an FM patch, so if we go like down here, we basically just this is just a saw wave, basically. A soft saw wave with some like volume stuff going on. And then we're doing like not really having a lot going on here, but it's basically a custom like soft saw wave, and it's got a chorus on it somewhere. I can't remember where that. Oh, it's got detuning. Yeah, this is basically a saw wave. You detune it, give it some more voices, and then you give it some chorus and reverb, and then you have this other part going, which is doing more stuff. This is a sine wave actually, and it's detuned a bit, so you have another sine wave there. And then you're filtering all that out with a little filter here. And so basically this would be created by could be created by an FM synth conceivably. But this stuff could not. Like this is just noise. You would have to use noise for this. And this ambience, no way. You would never get this sound with FM synth. Because this is a bunch of noise right here. So that basically it would have to change a lot to be using FM. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Well, you're welcome, Sabo Tinder. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thank you for all your donations. That was amazing. Loved every bit of this. I did. Ice Cave Chant. Yes, you did. You requested Ice Cave Chant. So if you come back tomorrow, and if you want, we can choose a specific time when you're available for Ice Cave Chant. If you message me on Discord or wherever. We can establish a time when you're available for that. And but basically, I'll be probably be doing this at like around the same time tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you for this. My first game was DKC2 from that Target in 90 from Target in 90. Target back in Target in 98. That's amazing. Yeah, Target. I remember Target back in the day. You're the channel that remade DK Jungle Swing. Yes, I'm the channel that remade that entire soundtrack. But thank you, Jammy. Glad you enjoy it, Jammy3662. Welcome to the stream. The others require a sampler. You're right. Yeah, most of this soundtrack requires a sample. Like you could get some of the melodic elements with like the guitar. Yeah, you could do that with a synth and get some conceivably similar results if you know how to work the patch. Wait, this is actually the one. Where's that? Oh, this is it. Yeah. So basically, this could be an FM patch, right? If you really knew how to work the thing. This, no way. This has a lot of noise in it, but you could do that. I don't know if the FM, I don't know if the FM, a lot of some FM stuff gave you the capability of using noise, but not all of them. So basically, you would be, if you did this by FM, this pan flute, you would just be left with no chiff. There would be no chiff here. You would just be left with these frequencies here. It would be a pure tone, basically. This, no way. It would be basically sound like a synth stab. This, you could get something conceivably similar to that. Basically, you would be able to get the same thing, except it would just be these pure frequencies. So it would be a pure tone. This would be very difficult. This, you could get something without the noise. It's very noisy. This, no way. This trumpet, you could get the tone, but not the transient. You could get this tone without the transient. You could do like... So it would basically just sound synthy, like that. Alright, y'all, so that is about how it would be. I just love how crunchy and metallic this YM262 sounds on the Genesis. Yeah, it sounds it's like a very pure tone. That's very nice. Okay, y'all, so basically, this is good stuff. Thank you, Jammy. Welcome. So, this is where we're going to cut it for today. We'll come back with the rest of the songs on like tomorrow, probably. But for now, I'm going to go do some fun stuff out in New York City. And hang out with friends, probably. Alright, y'all. Thank you for coming to the stream. This was a great turnout. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. This is